know how to really seriously take care of ourselves so that we can give to others without depleting ourselves. And that's a lot about what our work is about here together, is cultivating our strength to nourish our wisdom. And as a fellow female, my experience is that means our intuitive capacities work better when we're properly nourished. And that means just basic science, vitamins, minerals, hormones, micronutrients, macronutrients. But if that's all it was, I don't know about you, but that would be a little boring. I'm interested in what great nutrition does for us. I'm interested in your power, Sophia, Bernadette, Lisa, Esther, Amina, Lorraine, and all of you ladies. If you have your camera off and you want to turn it on, I know it might be a little bit risky, and I really acknowledge it, but I want to encourage you to turn your camera on. Yeah, I'd love to see you and feel you. Oh, Brittany, yes, lovely. Oh, I got like tears in my eyes. My God, Sarah, nice to see you. If I don't say your names because your name's not popping up on the screen, I literally get tears in my eyes seeing you all. Oh, Barbara, nice to see you. Dijana, is that how you say your name? Dijana? Nice to see you, lovelies. Hi, Jess. Oh, beauties. My heart fills with a wonder with the feminine. I feel our nature is one that can cure all the world's problems. I feel that the world's problems have to do with men not being properly nourished, who seem to be making all the decisions. So with all of our beauty, our love, our gentleness, our firmness, our sincerity, our care, I feel you and us, just us all, as ladies, we can turn things around. So let's get down to what we're doing here. We are here essentially to learn more about nutrition and intuition, how we can reclaim our gut health, our greater sense of self, and the potency that happens from the practical, the science, the math of it. It's really just following certain protocols that lead us back into our health. And voila, somehow the sensitization that happens seems to switch on our powers. So I don't know if you noticed on the screen, for those of you who saw the screen that was up before we started, I asked a question. The question is, what is your greatest need in your life right now? What do you need? Would you pop it in the chat box? In our work here together, it would also be not so interesting if you only heard me talk. So what I'm going to ask, if you are willing, is to participate with me quite a bit. I'm going to ask you questions, and I want to know how you feel. I want to know where you're at. I want to know what's going on with you. And if you feel to, you don't have to, of course, pop it in the chat box. So what is your greatest need in your life right now? That could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be financial. But I know you have a need. I know you have a driving need. What is it? Okay. So Lorraine says to rest more, and Radhika, sorry if I say anyone's name wrong, a good gut health, and Angie balance, and Lisa, I want love and nourishment, Noli harmony, Frederica more energy, and Sarah to get my energy back, Michelle more energy and a healthy gut, love, financial, love and finances, settled nervous system and nourishment, physical, social, emotional, spiritual. Stephanie, love, less fear, more energy. Great, okay, everybody. Beautiful, well, you've come to a great place for that. So as we get started, we're gonna go more and more into these types of topics. Is this your first time, or have you been here before? Can you let me know? Yeah, pop it in the chat box for me if you would. And one more thing, we do this kind of sign language like this in our webinars, and that means I agree, I concur, yes, okay? Yes. First time. Okay. Great. A lot of first time people. Wonderful. Well, thank you for choosing to be here. I really appreciate your time and your hearts to be open to what this can bring. So I want to catch you up a little bit. We're going to start with science first, and we're going to catch up on the science that we've done. This is our 5th webinar for Gut Instinct. And what we do is we do half science and then we do half readings. So the idea is to get into this science thing and to realize, what does it take to get our energy back, to get your health back, to bring in that balance, that harmony that can lead to everything else, the financial peace that you seek, the harmony in our relationships that we seek. As a naturopath and someone who's been on this path, I've been vegan and doing this type of work for 27 years personally, and I've been teaching it for 18. And it's my passion to share with you how I recovered my own gut health. My own gut health got severely compromised from having 3 ectopic pregnancies from the time I was 18 till I was 28. And the second one, they said, well, you can have surgery again. And the surgery was really hard on my body when I was 18. The doctors said, or you can take testosterone 4 times a day. I did that, didn't want to have surgery again, and it wiped out my immune system. Has anybody else had that issue where you took a bunch of antibiotics and then your belly just went crazy afterwards and your health is just like that? Yeah, Brittany. So I hear you. And that also was my story. And so I couldn't take any more drugs. It was just not going to happen. They were so hard. And so I decided to start looking into, like what you're doing, how can I heal my gut? This was, a long time ago, before the internet. And I started researching and reading, and I went to a naturopath, and he said, that's great, you're a vegetarian. I was 25 at this point. And he said, but you've got to stop eating dairy now. He said, you need to go vegan. Okay, I'll do anything. I mean, I love it because we're women. This is one of the reasons I wanted to go all women. I'll be really honest with you. It was so vaginal for me. I couldn't sit down. It was so painful. And, not much got my attention back in those days, but when it came to sexuality and, all the confusion I had around that and not being able to sit down, that got my attention. And I finally started doing something about it. And so I went vegan and everything started getting better. My bloating started going down. The vaginal health started to repair. It wasn't so swollen and painful that I couldn't see straight, and it brought up so many emotional issues, shame, all the things I'd done in my life. Like, my God, what have I done to myself? Anybody else relate to any of this? Can you give me one of these? Yeah, this is the plight of a lot of us ladies. Attile, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we are all women now, and thank you for being here. But this is now a women's group, and
I see. Sorry, Amy.
No, I'm sorry, because we have been a mixed community for all the years in the past, but I've gone courageous and just brought this all into women. So I want to say thank you.
I see. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Bye.
Bye. I have to admit, I have my chat box right on top of this picture, and I hope I just somehow moved my chat box down and just saw him there. So I'm really glad. And that might happen every once in a while because we have been a mixed community for all of these years. So yeah. So anyway, that's what got me started with it, where it was like, okay, I've got to do something about all of this, and it works. So if you're struggling with a bloated belly, you're struggling in your sexuality, you're struggling with dryness, and it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, if you're still in your 20s and 30s and young and juicy, or if we're getting into our 40s, 50s, 60s, and our bodies are going into perimenopause, menopause. These are the kind of things that we go through, and that we're all going to go through or have gone through as women. If I had had more of this information when I was a younger woman, I probably wouldn't have gotten myself, one, into so much trouble, and two, known how to heal myself quicker. Now, there's one factor where it all came back around to. Okay, the very first factor was diet. I needed to drastically change my diet. I needed to heal my gut. And then the second factor that it came around to was working emotionally, was to work on my biochemistry and then work on my emotional chemistry, which meant that I was willing to face myself. I didn't really want to. I didn't know how. But I don't know about you, but in my life, I'm pretty, I've always been a pretty naughty person. I like to adventure. I like to explore. Any other adventurers and explorers here who like to take risks? Oh, yes. Oh, you ladies love it. Yeah. We're wild women and we don't want to be tamed. We don't want to be cajoled or put into a box. No. And we'll probably like come out fighting even ourselves if that happens. So with this type of work, our objective is to learn to stop fighting ourselves, really, stop fighting life, and allow that beautiful, inherent, innate wildness of who we are to come alive, but without harming ourselves, without curtailing, without judging, and so that we become into repairing that old shame and guilt stuff. But first is the biochemistry. Yeah, that's why we do the diet. Yeah. And then second is working emotionally. That's what I really want to recommend. But first, let's catch you up a little bit on our past webinars of what we've been doing here, just because there's a certain lingo that we work with. And the first couple of webinars in our science part, remember the first part, we're going to focus on science, and then we're going to go directly into reading a few of you. We're going to do actual group readings. I'll get more to that when we go there. But first off, microbiome. Who knows what our microbiome is? Do we know what microbiome is? Can you pop a few things into the chat box for our ladies and help us here? In a nutshell, our microbiome is our gut flora. It's the basis of our entire immune system. Our gut flora works through what's called our vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve is this nerve that's going around into our brain. It's coming back down into our heart, into our gut, back around. The vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, its nature is behavioral, is empathic, is emotional. Yeah, it's very sensitive. So this information that is coming from our gut flora, travels through that sensitive vagus nerve and informs our brain. And it's either sending messages of, I'm doing great. My flora is healthy. It's alive. It's vibrating with all of life. And our brain then switches on dopamine and serotonin. And we feel good. We feel whole and alive and so much to give. And our service in this world is balanced. Now, if that's not your story right now, you're not alone. That was my story starting out. And it's many of our stories, as you can see, for what the ladies have put in the chat box so far. Because when that flora is imbalanced, let's say after all those nasty antibiotics that we've taken, testosterone four times a day, microbiome wiped out. What happened? Belly went bloat, really big, skin really bad, emotions like this. But the worst part, I think, was the foggy head and not being able to think and running into walls and just cry for anything. Anybody else have any of that type of experience? Yes, ladies, this is because our microbiome is out of whack. It's out of balance. It's purely technical to start with. So what that does is it feeds our vagus nerve with the condition of, I'm not well. Things are not going so good. She doesn't hear me. She doesn't know I'm here. Think of your flora as like an army. That's our immune system. And when that army goes off, then it proliferates unhealthy flora. And by the way, that flora, part of its purpose is our immunity, to keep us well, feeling good, to turn on our serotonin, our dopamine, to create health for life. But its next purpose, its second purpose, is to decompose our bodies when we die. Yeah. So when we're not well, when you're struggling, when you go to the doctor and they tell you that there's Nothing wrong with you. All your tests come back fine. You're all right. You're just a hypochondriac. You're just one of those crazy women. You ever hear that one? Oh, there's nothing like getting a woman's hair up on her back than to hear something like that. Yeah. And then we get angry, right? Yeah. But the danger for us ladies, are you an imploder or are you an exploder? I would be an imploder. Okay, I'm so bad. All of that kind of stuff. Until I learned that, no, wait a minute. Let me start thinking for myself and research this stuff. Let me start learning the reality of who I am biochemically, in chemistry, emotionally, physically, sexually. I want to know. You want to know. So what we're looking at here is turning all of that gut flora healthy, so that instead of negative messages being sent into your brain that say, she doesn't hear me, she doesn't know I'm here, she doesn't even know I exist. And then your brain gets neurotransmitters that are inhibited. That's the technical term. Sends a message back down. It's a biofeedback loop, this one. Sends a message back down to your belly of like tension, constriction, survival mode, panic, fear. It's very emotional, remember. So those negative emotions that some of you put into the chat box, struggling, I don't know my way, nobody gets me. And here's the big one. Here's the big one. I don't exist. I don't matter. Yeah, and that doesn't, I'm going to say something here that a little bit risky. I want to just say thank you to our BIPOC ladies. Thank you so much for your trust to be here with. I love you. Thank you. I love you. But I want to say it doesn't matter the color of your skin. This is universal for all of us women. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. This feeling of I do not exist. Does anybody know that feeling? Or the fear of it? Yes. If you're struggling in your health, that voice might get really strong. And that leads us to understand why someone could even contemplate the unfathomable of suicide. Now, could it be technically that that person's microbiome is fighting for its life, is struggling, is dying? The microbiome itself. The microbiome is in our gut, it's in our mouth, our nose, and it's in our genital tract. That's why we as women get yeast infections easily if that microbiome gets thrown off. Yeah, so if you have any kind of female issues, cystitis, clogged tubes, any of that going on, all back to your microbiome. Most all health issues. So ladies, this is where we begin. We work with rebuilding our microbiome. And remember, for me and in the work I do, the very number one thing we do is give up the meat, the dairy, the sugar. Okay? It's just destroying it. That's what it does. Yes. And this is why I have written a Go Vegan program, is to make it easy for you. After 10 years of having a raw food chef training and detox training in Bali, I would do 2 trainings a year. I lived in Bali for many years doing this. I finished my retreat business and right before lockdown, just magically. And my goal is to get everything online. That's why I started this webinar, was to give women, beautiful women, access to this work in a way that's really practical. It's a 4-step, 4-part program in 4 weeks. It helps you to just break it down and know how to do it. I know you ladies, you'll likely do it if you know how, if it's easy, if it's accessible. Yeah? Who will really take care of your gut health if you know how? Yeah. Now look, if it was dry technical stuff, it would be like, but it's not, because I'm a woman and I wrote it for women. Why? Because I know what we go through. Yeah. So it's written from that perspective, from the practical to the supernatural. Really encourage you to take care of your gut health. So in our webinars, we've been talking a lot about the microbiome. In our last webinar, we spoke quite a bit about pH balance. So catch up on that just a little bit if you don't know about it. pH balance is from 0 to 14. It said that perfect human health exists at 7.45. It is said that illness cannot exist if we are balanced. And that means eating on a range that encourages from like 7.0 to 7.45. If you want that chart, if you want me to send it to you, pop your email in the chat box and just put by the pH chart. And it's only for people who are coming here. I want to send it to you if you don't have it already. I did send it in our last lesson. And by the way, these lessons are all going to be on my website soon. And remember, this is your community, it's our community. And when you ask for things, I don't think of everything. Someone just wrote me a few days ago and said, hey, could we have those last webinars? Could you send them to me? And I said to my tech guy right away, let's get those on the website. So you can go back and watch those. I would really encourage you to do that, because remember, perfect human health is at what number? What is it? Pop it in the chat box, would you? What is it? Yeah, 7.45, okay? So that means when you get that chart, look at the chart, and we need to eat around, 7.0, 6.8 to about 7.45. Get your biochemistry balanced out. And I know it's not easy sometimes to give up the sugar and all that stuff because there's so much emotional attachment to it. But if you're serious about repairing your gut, this is what I really recommend you do. Yeah, it gets easier with support. It gets easier with people that you surround yourself by in a like-minded community like this, who gets you, who understand you, who care about you. Yeah, so you've come to a place where our ultimate goal is to not necessarily go vegan. That's not really what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is go plant-based, eat the power of plants, so that you can balance out your chemistry and switch on what you're designed to do as a woman. A big part of this is feminizing, a big part of it. We'll talk more about feminizing as we get into this. We have been programmed to be masculine. We've been programmed to kick it, to work hard, to take care of everyone else. Anybody else have that issue, taking care of everybody else? Yes, I hear you. And now we're going to undo some of that conditioning by saying my gut matters. I'm going to take care of my microbiome. I'm going to eat in the pH balance that supports that. And yes, it's challenging. And yes, it's almost seems like, how could it be? But remember, you have a place to come where you're understood. And it's not just about food. It's not just about the technical, but it's about who you are as a woman. So let's take a look at what our next lesson is about now. And this is all about our glycemic index. Okay, so do we know about the glycemic index? Do you know about that? Yeah, okay, great, Angie and Evangelia, great. So what is a glycemic index? It is a scale that measures sugar in our blood, basically, and it starts at 0 and it goes to about 100 or so. And so in food as medicine, in this type of approach, what we're looking at is categorizing foods from a low up until a high category, so that if you really want to heal your gut, we need to eat in certain ranges. Okay, so we want to eat in a pH balanced way, and we want to eat from the glycemic index that isn't just like pure sugar. Okay, so I'm going to show you a chart with those numbers on it in just a moment. And if you want that, we'll send it to you as well. I see a lot of you. Thank you for putting your email in the chat box, and I'll pop you the glycemic index chart too. This was one of the major ways I healed my gut. Okay, and what's going to happen is this. You're going to become so sensitized, because remember, our ultimate objective is about feminizing, sensitizing, and you and I as women feeling safe enough to let down our guard and to not have to run so much masculine energy through our bodies that it begins to produce testosterone in your body as you enter perimenopause and menopause, and make us start growing black hairs and become very androgynous. It just doesn't really agree with our femininity so well to feel like we're not feeling good in our female body. Even my 85-year-old mother, she's so cute. She says like, I don't feel pretty today. I'm gonna put on some makeup and I'm gonna put on my nice dress. I say, yeah, Mom, let's feel pretty and let's take off our cleaning clothes. And I think it's just so beautiful that even my 85-year-old mother feels that way. Think about it when you were a little girl. I don't know about you, but I wanted to feel pretty as a little girl. I wanted my baby doll. I wanted to take care of something. This is us as women. Yeah. What happened along the way? We got programmed to man up. Nobody's fault. Nobody's fault. No blame. But the good news is, through reclaiming our biochemistry, our gut health, who would have thought at the same time we're feminizing? Because the belly, when you start repairing your gut, the bloat's going to go down. You can start feeling better in your body. The inflammation is going to go down. All that water retention is going to go down. That makes your wrists and your fingers feel tight. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's my cheekbones. Oh, there's my butt coming back. And this is the language of the feminine. Yeah. But in our work here together, that begins with our gut. Okay, so we went from the microbiome. We understand a bit about the pH balance now. And let's go into the glycemic index. I'm going to screen share with you. Here we go. Yes. Okay. So if you're somebody who's really struggling with your health, let's take a look at the top here. You see my cursor on this pale blue box. And if you're really struggling with your health on any level, you have low energy, your belly's really out there, this is what we need to do. I call this kind of like the intensive allergy candida health issue stage. And we need to eat between 0 and 18. Now, if you have low allergy candida health related issues where you're struggling some, but it's not like that bad, then you could eat between 19 and 32. Now, if you're just doing fine in your health, you just want to feel more empowered, you don't have bloating or inflammation, your gut is doing just fine, then I would encourage you to enjoy these other foods here we talked about, but go into 33 to 54, the medium, somewhat 55, 69, but in this range here, from 0 to 69 is about where we want to stay, veering more under 54. And the high foods like watermelon, dates, they're up about like in the hundreds, in like 101, 102. Okay, so it becomes really like math when you look at what do I need to do in order to heal. So take a look, if you're somebody really struggling now, take a look at this pale blue box. Okay, and I know probably what you're thinking because I've done loads and loads of live teaching. When I can't see your face right now because I'm looking at the chart, but I see lots of ladies' faces usually in our groups. They're like, oh, their face is scrunched up, but there's nothing to eat. What do you mean? There's loads to eat. It's all vegetables, you're right. See, it's seaweeds and it's all kinds of vegetables. Now, remember, if you're not struggling too much, then add in the pink boxes. Yeah. And if you're doing just fine, you just want to be more empowered, stronger, healthy, add in the yellow box. Occasionally visit this dark blue box. Now, take a look if you would. That's about what I can show you without cutting the screen off too much. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, actually. So take a look and see what is your favorite food on there. If you pick out one thing, don't worry about the number or the color or anything. Pick out one thing and pop it in the chat box with the number on it, if you would. Tell me what really is like one of the things you eat, like Rice Krispie treats, 82, pop it in the chat box. Or maybe you love carrots, 15, pop it in the chat box. What is it that you love? So remember, the basic premise, to keep it really simple, is that the lower the number, the slower that food metabolizes or burns. The higher the number, the faster, more hot in your system that it burns or metabolizes. So what we're looking to do here is to adjust the food that we eat according to the number it is, according to where you are here. If you have allergies or any of those symptoms that we talked about earlier, you really want to get serious about it, go under 18. So in my own healing process, that's what I did. Back then, I didn't know about microbiome, actually. I didn't really start learning that until I became a naturopath. And the more and more I worked with people, I started realizing like, oh, wait a minute. The enteric nervous system, our second brain living in our gut, can operate independently from our brain and our head. That's how smart our gut is. And it's telling you all the time. It's really simple. Yeah. You'll get that feeling like you'll look at a food and your gut will tell you right away. You'll get that message, I shouldn't eat that. Or you'll feel like, ooh, I love some of that green juice. And then your microbiome sends that message into your brain, and you get that as a message of like, I like that, or I don't like that, or ooh, I shouldn't, or ooh, I would like to. Come back to the number on the chart though. And first it requires a little bit of discipline. It requires, let's go beyond discipline. It requires you really wanting it. You know, I want to ask you, okay, give me a real honest answer here, okay? And we'll come back to those numbers in just a moment. How bad do you want to heal your gut to be really healthy? Is it low, medium, or high? Really honestly, what is it? How bad do you want it? High? Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you take that chart and you get really clear with yourself and you make an agreement with yourself, I want this bad. I really want this. Okay. I want to be really honest with you. Being someone who's like a very sensual creature, I did not want to give up my sexuality at all. And I was willing to heal my gut and all my vaginal issues that I couldn't sit down with because my microbiome was so off, because I was addicted to my sexuality. I'll be really honest about it. Okay, whatever your motivation is fine. All right, I just wanted to encourage you to be really, really honest with yourself. You know, and I had to unlearn that kind of dysfunction that was, because it was, okay, if I can still have my sexuality, then I can get approval from men. Okay, I had to mature out of that one. I had to grow up out of that one. It took a long time, but you know, it happened. Okay, but what is it honestly for you? What is it honestly for you? Are you willing to say, I want this so much that I'm willing to heal my gut, heal my vaginal issues, my low energy issues, whatever it is, because I want to what? It's about what you want to achieve with this. It's not about the food itself. It's not about even our gut itself. It's what it can give you in your life. What do you want? What do you really want? Yeah. And if you feel comfortable popping that in the chat box, I'd love to know what you really want. And could it be that your gut health and getting yourself all balanced out is going to help you to do that? Well, we know that nothing is possible without our health. We know that. We know that. Yes, we want energy. Absolutely. This is what we want. Yes. You want to be really happy. Less brain fog. Energy, love. Yes. Yes, it will help with fertility. You know, this is a really important question. We are going to come back to those numbers. It's going to help with your fertility, absolutely, depending on where your fertility is, your stage of life, your age. Are you, are you perimenopause? Have you had female issues before? Honestly, I lost my fertility by the time I was 15. Yes, from all of these issues. That's why it's so deep for me, why I love sharing this with you so much, because we don't have to struggle in this way if we have the right information. You want to tame your arthritis and be mobile, Bernadette? Absolutely. And this is all possible. Can you do it naturally and with plants? Yes. And I can say that because I've worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I haven't worked a little bit. I've done this full on, full time. It's not a hobby. This has been my life inside out in my own health and with other people. And if you want it bad enough, all those things you're popping in the chat box are possible depending on the stage that you're at. But most important, it's where your head is. If you believe that you can do it, then you can. But if you doubt yourself and you're not properly supported and, you know, we're kind of half in, half out, it's not going to happen probably. What I'm talking about is full 100% commitment. It's showing up for yourself in a way that your full totality of your being is probably asking for. And if we got really technical about it, we'd say most likely your gut is asking for. And your microbiome is saying, hey, Jess, hey, Sarah, hey, Barbara, hey, Angie, hey, Sophia, hey, Brittany, I need you to fully show up for me. Our brain's getting that message and it's like, well, what about that sugar? What about that guy? What about, and this is where our work is, okay? It's challenging. That's why I wrote this program, Go Vegan. That's why I would encourage you to break it down and get practical about it. That's why we do work like this, because we are challenged, all of us. Yeah, it's natural. So let's go back to those numbers and let's take a look here. I want to see what you popped into the chat box here. Chocolate 49. All right, Brittany, I understand being a bit of a chocolate addict myself, okay? Now with the chocolate, remember chocolate is what I call the stimulant cycle. We'll do a full lesson on the stimulant cycle another time, but most of us live on stimulants. We wake up in the morning and we get stimulated all day long till we go to sleep. And chocolate is a big one like that. Raw chocolate, I know some of you might be thinking, yes, even more raw chocolate. Here's the thing with the chocolate too, is not only is it a stimulant and it's high on the glycemic index, but the beans of the chocolate, the beans have a white film on them. I don't know if you've ever seen that in nature. When they come out of a cacao pod, they have a white film on them. And indigenous people living in Bali for a long time, the locals there don't eat it. Indigenous people don't eat those. They say that's toxic. And they say only eat it with a white film on it. And so what happens is when they're processed, those beans, the white film gets manufactured off, and then they ferment the beans. And this is why chocolate is so hard on many of us ladies, especially if you have bloating, candida, allergy type issues. Like personally, I can eat about 2 squares of chocolate, but I'll be very honest, I have a very addictive personality. Whatever it is, chocolate, this, I just want to keep eating more. Anybody else have that? Yeah, I'll be really honest about it. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's good. I want some more. Yeah. And then before you know it, my belly's like 6 months pregnant. Yeah. So with the chocolate, you know, it's not necessarily the chocolate itself, it's the fermentation of the bean that is aggravating the candida, the bloating in our belly, and it's aggravating our microbiome. And so therefore your body begins to produce histamine, and we don't have the immunity really to ward that off if we keep doing it over and over again. And so that's why your eyes will begin to water, or your nose runs, all of that sort of stuff when you eat things like chocolate. Okay, so you take a look at that index, Brittany, and you get really clear on like, oh, you know, okay, I can have a little bit every once in a while. All right. Barbara, the cheese is at 15. And remember, we want to eat under 18. So Barbara, you came up with a good loophole. Well, cheese, that's under 18, right? And I know if you're not, you know, going vegan yet and the dairies is still a big part of your life, cheese tends to be one of the most challenging things for us to give up. Yet remember, the cheese is coagulation, right? It creates sticky, gooky stuff in our blood. And that's why We will have a difficult time with our vaginal secretions, with our pH in our vagina going off. It doesn't tend to go so well for us. Yes, watermelon 72, dates 103, broccoli 10. Yeah, so you begin to get an idea that if you want to adjust your biochemistry, you want to really heal your gut, I encourage you to follow this chart and do your best to eat at least under 32. And if you want it so bad you're willing to do anything, go under 18. Yeah, go under 18 and you're going to heal. Okay, this is what I did for a couple of years because I couldn't take it anymore. It was kind of like do or die time. By the time the third ectopic pregnancy rolled around, it was like, all right, Amy, you're going to live, you're going to die. What's it going to be? You know, and I needed to break it down for myself and really say, I want to live. I choose to claim my life. And if that's you right now, does anybody know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah, I'm serious about living. Then I would encourage you to break some of this science down and make your choice and come into a place like this where you can be held and loved. You know, come into a place like this where, you know, it doesn't matter your size, your shape, your color, your sexual orientation, nobody cares here. What we care about is who we are as women and how we can heal, how we can grow, how we can do this thing. Okay, that's what really matters. All right, so that is a bit about our glycemic index. I hope that helps you to really say, I know what to do now, and to eat low on the glycemic index. Okay, so we have a question here. How long do you need to follow the program? Okay, thanks, great question. So it's designed to be taken in 4 steps in 4 weeks. Okay, so in 4 weeks, the idea is you come out the other end of that knowing how to set up your kitchen, really practical stuff. You go to govegan.community and get into the meal planner that creates an automatic grocery list. Take advantage of all the recipes. Take advantage of all the education. I pulled a lot of the handouts and lessons from our program and put it on our Go Vegan site. It's about to go up soon, actually. So just know that there is another way. Can it heal rheumatoid arthritis? Yes, absolutely. Rheumatoid arthritis has to do with being too acidic for too long. Okay, and your kidneys can't buffer out all that acid. And so your circulation begins to move slow and you puff out inflammation and it's gas as well. So then your joints become stiff. If your joints are at all stiff, that's because you're too inflamed and your kidneys are having a hard time. But that's not the origin. The origin is back to your gut. It all comes back down to your gut health. So we want to clean our gut health out and everything's going to start working better. So we're going to take just a couple of questions and then we're going to go right into our intuitive work. Evangelia says, it's a bit confusing. From one side we hear juices, i.e. watermelon, is good for detox, but it's also high on the GI. Great question. Now that's very true. And if it's not framed correctly, it can be very confusing, Evangelia. So in this approach, in the way I work, I would recommend watermelon juice if you're really constipated. Watermelon juice is an excellent laxative. Okay, so for instance, one time we had a girl on one of our retreats who was just severely constipated. Super constipated. So we had to start fasting and drink 4 liters of watermelon juice a day, along with 4 liters of water a day. It took 4 days, but eventually the plug came out. And by staying in this way that we're talking about, eating this way, her constipation began to reverse. But see, I used that specifically as a medicine because she was so clogged up. I knew that the watermelon would take it out, even though her glycemic index levels would go up, her sugar levels would go up. As a natural doctor, I'm looking at the biggest priority. And the biggest priority is always your gut and getting the crap out. Okay, whatever ails you right now, ladies, whatever it is, you need to get it in the toilet. That's the bottom line. Okay, and we need to get our gut matter, the backed up waste, soluble enough so it'll come out. And that's what watermelon juice does. And so I knew it was worth her sugar levels going up because it was only for a few days. But if you don't know that and you're just drinking watermelon upon watermelon and you're just bloating out, you might get confused. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you're using it specifically as a medicine like that until your blood sugar levels balance out. This morning, I juiced 6 liters of watermelon. I drank 2 liters myself. I don't have sugar issues anymore. So all these years later, I can go back and I can drink watermelon just because I like it and because it's going to really clean me out in the morning and it's not going to bother me. Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay. So what reduces bloating the best? Is it because of the microbiome is not balanced? Yes, good for you, that's right. But this has to do, because the microbiome isn't balanced, what's happening is that you are accruing gas, okay? So, so Brittany, back to the chocolate, okay? Or back to those really high glycemic foods or improperly food combining. We have one lesson on proper food combining as well. What happens is that when your body can't digest something, it sits in your gut too long, it begins to rot. That rot off gases. And that gas is what's making the bloat. Okay? You're not bloated for no reason. You're bloated because you have gas. And that gas isn't just sitting down in your belly, but it is in your cells as well. We have cellular gas. Okay? And so what's happening is that when we begin to go on this way of eating, and then we get more and more into fasting, then your body will begin to decrease inflammation, which is like squeezing out like this, your tissue and your cells in your whole body. And you're going to experience that as less inflammation. The bloat's going to go down. And if you're thorough about it and you're doing enemas, you're doing colonics, and you detox as well, then you're going to have huge, I mean, gigantic bubbles coming out in a colonic or an enema. And right behind that, you're going to have a massive amount of mucus, because the old meat and dairy sugar diet, what it does is it produces mucus in our bodies. Okay, so here's how it goes. It goes, the first cap is gas. The second cap behind that is mucus. Then behind that, you have all the backed up stored waste that your body hasn't been able to eliminate. And when your body can't do that, it turns it into fat. And then the body's trying to protect itself through putting water in that area as a buffer. That's called water retention. That's inflammation. So over time, what's going to happen is your body, if you keep eating this way, you start fasting, you do your emotional work because you're a woman, okay? We ladies, this is just how it is for us, all right? And unless we desensitize and man up completely, we feel everything. You sense it, you know, unless we're completely in our heads, and that's okay too. You know, we go through those stages, but our work is about feeling. It's about our femininity, reclaiming this inherent power we have, right down to the science of what we're talking about. We'll do one more last question, and then let's go down deep, and let's get into our intuitive work. Okay, so am I saying watermelon is bad for you if you're suffering from IBS? Well, if you're suffering from IBS, Elka, it's because you likely have lots of stored waste that is off-gassing and acidifying your tissue. It is, you might have parasites as well. Okay, this is very common. And so what's going to happen when you put that watermelon on top of it, unless you're really consistent with your diet and you're sticking with it, that sugar is not going to move. So it's acting as kind of a corrosive building of the sugar that's just not moving out of your body quick enough. Okay, but if you were to go on a detox and you were to really focus on it, you could use the watermelon juice in the way we were talking about to really dump all that waste out. Okay, so yeah, okay, so IBS is, you're having a reaction to certain plants. Yeah, in our Go Vegan program, we do a whole section on allergies. And we break down macronutrients, and we break a lot of this down in that lesson. And remember, our entire Go Vegan program is designed specifically to help you heal your gut with plants. And not all plants are going to be beneficial. So learning that is a big part of our work. Yeah. Okay, ladies, thank you for taking this in. Let's go a little bit deeper. Are you ready to explore our greater capacity? Yeah, are we ready? Yeah. Okay, great. So let's get ourselves a little bit set up. And what we're doing here, so right now my my left brain is buzzing. It loves the science and it loves to break it all down and it wants to understand. But my right brain over here is it's sending me messages through my microbiome into my vagus nerve, and it says, Amy, okay, now let's get really into our deeper sense of self, and let's open up what the right brain does. It's the domain of intuition, of feeling, of sensing. It's brain chemistry, ladies. It's brain capacity. It's not woo-woo, hokey-pokey stuff. It's the proper use of our anatomy when properly fueled by plants. Yeah, by choosing to reclaim our lives. Yeah, to heal our sexuality, because I know most of our wounding is around our sexuality. I know. How do I know? Because I'm a woman, I have 3 older sisters, and I work mainly only with women for all these years. It's the same thing. Yeah. And you're a rare one if it's not. Yeah. So we can do about 2 people. We don't have a whole lot of time, but let's go deeper. So what I'm going to ask you to do is let's drop into a more meditative space now. Let's take 5 really big breaths together through the mouth. Inhale through the mouth, and out. Big inhale in. 3, and 4. And take the big, big full breath now for 5. And with your exhale, ground your energy all the way down. Ground your energy all the way down into the earth. Drop your energy down into your womb, squeezing your vaginal and perineal muscles. Squeeze, ground yourself into the lower part of your body. Now use that beautiful direction of your mind and push it all the way down into your feet, into the earth. Ground down. Feel yourself fully here, in your body, cared for, safe, protected, loved. Now put protection all around yourself in gold and white light, and protection around each lady here, around our whole group. Ground down. Protection all around. Let's take this protection and send it into the world for all beings everywhere. Now let us begin. As we begin to work intuitively, I'm going to read a person for about a minute. And I'm going to ask you to remain super present, because one person's information is for everybody. Yes. One person's information is also for you. So I want to encourage you to extract from that message if there's something there for you. Okay. And know that it's tender, it's vulnerable, and this is what it's really all about. I encourage you to give yourself permission to go into that space. Yeah. And may we hold space for each lady who is so brave to come forward. also know that I'm very sensitive to not exposing anything too personal. That's not the objective. The objective is to get into a deep feeling state and feel yourself protected, so you know that you're not going to be overexposed in any way. Okay, Raven. Are you ready, Raven? Okay.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Hi. Raven, would it be okay if I scan your system a bit?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to ask you to take a big breath with me. Everybody, big breath. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So Raven, is a reoccurring issue for you what to do with all this power you have?
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's reframe what might otherwise, what it feels like is that if your power isn't spoken to and framed in what it feels like it is, then you might be very hard on yourself. Are you hard on you? Are you pretty hard on yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm working on it, but yeah.
Yeah. Bless. You know, before we go right into what your power is about. Your power is a big power. And it feels like from a very young age, you learn to subdue, pull back in, retract that power. And do you have a bit of a temper? If you get angry, do you have a bit of a temper?
Not like I used to. It was mainly from not speaking up, a lot of times holding things in, and then it would build up and I would explode. So I've learned to work on speaking my truth now. So I don't get upset anywhere like I used to, but it's there. It's still there. It can.
Does anybody else relate with that? Yeah. So it's beautiful that you're able to listen to yourself in this way, because what it feels like is as a child is that you did hold quite a bit inside, big power, big holding inside. And for you to learn to speak and to give yourself permission to speak has been a big part of your journey. Now, the next part of this is what you do with this big power. And this big power feels like it has one driving question that wants to be answered. And just want to really acknowledge you for being here. And that driving question feels like, what's it all for? Do you relate to that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of work trying to figure out my purpose, and pretty much, with everything I've been dealing with and all my experiences have what they're for ultimately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It feels like the deeper part of you is asking that question. I want to say congratulations. Anybody else been asking that question? What's it all for? What's the meaning? Yeah. So this is the ultimate question. It feels like a big soul driver for you, because it's helping you to it feels like this. Has you been going through something like an existential crisis, like something of like kind of fed up with where your life has been and what's it all for? Has that been kind of going on for you?
Yes.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. So, love, the answer really feels like in you owning the bigness of this woman inside of you. She's a soul woman, and you're a writer, huh? You write.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I encourage you to channel that into your writing, because you got a lot to say. And that little girl inside who was repressed, who held all those things in, that you're giving a voice to now, she's got big things to say. I encourage you to write. It's like, it feels like a memoir. It feels like kind of a recollection of your history. And it feels like this kind of interesting. It feels like there's a theatrical element, like some kind of like a production of sorts. There's this, yeah.
me and a friend of mine had just started recently doing a lot of cacao and ecstatic dance together.
Yeah.
So we've been working. So it's just wow, like we've really been working on how to use that in our journey and offer it to others because
Yeah.
we both love dance. So
Yeah. Yay.
yeah.
Yay. Yay. Angels are clapping. Yay. Yay. That feels really good. Wait, do we all get a joyful feeling when Raven speaks about that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Raven, do you feel that tender edge you're on right now? There's some tears that want to come. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see them.
Everything you've been saying is just thank you. I mean it's
You're welcome.
yeah.
My pleasure.
Wow.
Thank you. So here it is in a nutshell. What Raven teaches us all something, okay? And here's the nutshell that she's giving us is to reclaim that little girl inside, the one who got repressed and stored things inside. Who else? Who else? See, love, you're not alone, okay? You're not alone, because that was part of the little girl's story, was that she was alone. And this is what each of our little girl thought inside. But look at us. Just look around here. Like, you know, we're not alone. And we were all that one that was just a little bit different. Okay, but actually, Raven, what it feels like is you're incredibly sensitive, incredibly intuitive, and you got a big voice. Big voice. I encourage you to write, put it into your movement. And now I know this might be a little bit challenging, but I would encourage you to sing. Sing, let that big voice out and shout it. I just see a picture of you like shouting it from the rooftops. Yeah, we want to feel you and we want to benefit from your magic. Because you let it keep coming out. It's a big part. What you're doing is you're healing yourself by letting this out in this way in your creative expression, and you're giving us all a teaching. But it's real tongue in cheek. It's cheeky stuff too. You got a wicked sense of humor. Yeah, yeah. Let it come.
You know, I don't know. I always thought I had a kind of odd sense of humor, but it's like only some people get. But I'm learning to even just be okay. Like I laugh at my own jokes, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, big time, big time. Well, encourage you, let her out. You got a funny bone that's just aching to be seen. I think you're a comedian, actually.
Mm,
Yeah.
thank you. Like, thank you. That is a blessing. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. Yeah. May you take in a lot of love, Raven, and let us know when you have something to share. We'd really love to see what you're working on, hear what you're working on. Thank you.
Thank you. I will.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else who want to hear what Raven's got to say? Yeah, like all of us. Yeah. Great. Love it. Okay. So let's see. We have time for one more person. I think we probably are at time, and but let's. I'm going to plug my battery in just 1 second. Let's take one more person. If anyone can hold on here. Amina, did you? Oh, Stephanie. Okay. Stephanie, where are you? Still here, Stephanie? Oh, Stephanie, there you are. Okay. I've got my battery plugged in. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hey. Stephanie, would it be okay if I go in your system and just scan and listen to your system a bit? Would that be all right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it says like it's time to free yourself from the noose of insecurity. Yeah. That old insecurity that feels like it's been eroding your self-worth, your self-confidence, and your own treasure. Yeah. It feels like your system, your body needs you to know your own value. And kind of like Magdalena, we talked about this with you a couple of weeks ago, the comparison thing. Okay. So if you are comparing yourself to others, you can never fit into that box. You cannot. because you're Stephanie. Yeah. Stephanie's worth can only get reinforced from her. And it feels like you study, you read a lot, you educate yourself, you know these things. There's a very deep core. What it feels like is there's a deep core inside that wants a robust holding from you. That has nothing to do with your external beauty. That's just that's the accolade that feels like the bonus. But here in a nutshell is what it comes down to, is you feeling safe enough, is what it feels like anyway. You feeling safe enough to be who you really are. And that your uniqueness and what you might perceive in yourself as oddity is your greatest gift. That's right, love. Yeah. She needs out, sweetie. She needs out. Yeah. This is your gift. This is your gift, Stephanie. All this beautiful tenderness you have inside. She's been locked away. She's been kept under lock and key. And she had to get styled and manicured and pedicured and all of that in order to feel like she could be worthy. But then, what about that girl with those kind of boobs? And what about that girl with that, soul destroying? That's not your work here. Your magic and mystery is a deep one. You don't fit in to the conventional world that you might be comparing yourself to, and will only leave you dry. And what feels so heartbreaking is there's the jewel still sitting there shining, but we're focused on the swine. You know that old expression that says, don't put pearls before swines. Do you know that expression? So I encourage you to know your own jewel inside, to own it, to get so deeply into you that your sexiness, your outer beauty is revealing from this deep state of not only I'm okay with me, but when we feel so good inside. Ooh, me feels good. And it's your own special flavor. Stephanie, this is the wisdom you bring to the group today. I encourage you to own that wisdom, own what you bring, own what only you can do. And the work is in not working so hard that you bury yourself. Do you bury yourself in working hard?
Sometimes.
Yeah. What if it's more in nurturing you inside? And do you tend to self-isolate?
Yeah, sometimes as well. So it sort of goes and flows.
Yeah. Right. So the one who's self-isolating is the one that needs your love. And my question for you in closing is that who you really are?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, love. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. So what Stephanie is clearly showing us is that if we as women, and we know this already, are so focused on this on the outside, we miss the real deal. We miss the jewel. And we've been so programmed and conditioned in an over-masculized world, if that's a word, that we forgot our preciousness. So we compete and compare, and the jewel still doesn't get shined. It still doesn't get attention. Stephanie, this is an inside job, as you already know, but it's also something that we do together, and that's what this group is about. Okay, and one little last thing here is the female wounding. Okay, the female wounding in your family. Does that make sense with you? Yeah. Okay. That's the key, is healing the female wounding. Because if you weren't acknowledged and told how precious you are as a child, this is where a lot of that's coming from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Many of us were not acknowledged. Many of us were not told we were precious. We were not treated with adoration and lots of care, and that's how many of us? How many of us? Oh, like everybody here. Yeah, there's just a couple of people here that actually got that. So the good news is we get to give it to ourselves now. We get to come into a safe place with other women where we can heal our old feminine wounding. Okay? And again, it's nobody's fault. It's not our mom's fault. It's not our sister's fault. They too were neglected. May you retrieve that neglected one inside, Stephanie, and nurture her with all of this robustness you have. May we all. Is it possible? 'Tis. 'Tis. Is it possible for every single person here? If that's what you want. If that's what you want. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing this with the ladies. We're going to be closing here in just a moment, but I want to circle this back around to what does that have to do? What does the intuition work have to do with gut health? What does it have to do with nutrition? Everything. Everything. Because without proper nutrition in our bodies, I'm going to tell you something you all already know. Our superpowers don't work properly. Do you also have an intuitive capacity? Oh yeah. Why? Because you have estrogen in your body. No matter what your age is, you still have estrogen. Even as we go into, I'm in menopause now, my body's still producing estrogen. Why? Because of proper nutrition for a long period. And if you don't, as you get older, this is when we really feel we're aging, okay? So as younger ladies, I want to encourage you to really take care of your gut health, because it's going to stimulate your estrogen and your hormones properly, and it's going to help you to age more gracefully. And if we're in midlife and we're a bit older, it's never too late. Let's reclaim our gut health. And this is what our 4-week, 4-step program is about. It's not complex. Study for half an hour a day. A few of you here are already in it, Evangelia. Take care of what your body's designed to do so this works properly. And we're going to get more and more into what is this. This is what people call your third eye. It's the proper functioning of your pituitary and pineal gland. You already do it. So let's work at the base, work on our gut health, work on our nutrition, and let's get our superpowers switched on so that we can help heal this world. And we can bring in a gentle, feminine, strong, powerful love so that men don't feel like they need to lash out and harm one another. It's up to us, ladies, if you're willing. Who's willing? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the feminine spirit. So if this work speaks to you, encourage you to break it down, come into the program, go to the govegan.community, benefit from all our resources there. That community is all free. There's loads of stuff on there. It's going to stay free for a bit of time. And remember, this is your community. What do you want? If there was anything that you could learn with this work, what would it be? What do you want? What would you like to learn? Pop it in the chat box for me if you would. What do you want to learn? Sophia, you want to learn to fast properly. Love it, Sophia. That's excellent. Okay, that's where real super health begins, all right? We start slow with the Go Vegan, all right? But when you've been fasting and you do it in a good way, this is where real deep healing happens really quickly. I wish I had known that in the years when I first started out. When I began to really start fasting is when I really, really went the full distance with it. Eventually, a discipline and motivation, yeah. Healing holistically and helping others, yes, Raven. That's where it's at. So let's break it down at the base, ladies. Encourage you with your Go Vegan work in our 4-step, 4-week program. Keep coming. Keep showing up here. Stay supported. Become a part of our govegan.community. And if this work speaks to you, please tell your friends. And again, remember, a lot of this, so much is created from your input. It's a community, and I'd love to know more about you. Feel free to pop me an email. If you want to go deeper into a one-on-one session, that's also possible. Lots of love, you beautiful women. Thank you for your hearts, your souls, your attention. Lots of love. Bye, ladies. Mwah.